Me, 38-year-old female, and my boyfriend Shane, 36-year-old male, have been together for 14 months. There have been some red flags like the way his family behaves, treats each other's spouses, basically ignoring, making us feel like strangers, and his strong need for quick success. We've talked about this. I don't mind what his job is, but I need to know that if he has goals, he's definitely working to attain them. I'm noticing that he talks and talks, but I see no action except trying to find people to help him. I try not to judge, but I think he's too distracted to do anything. Because we are not married or anything, we chose to spend Christmas with our own families. I kind of knew that his family would prefer to exclude partners and spouses, and was very okay with that. The day after Christmas, he invited me over for a post-Christmas get-together. Surprisingly, I felt comfortable. My mother-in-law wasn't as sour as she always is, and at least there were additional people that I could talk to and be friendly with in case I felt out of place. My boyfriend's brother, Cade, 45-year-old male, was there with his girlfriend, Amanda, 41-year-old female, who didn't look right. She's a very smiley person and very funny. She looked teary-eyed and wasn't really participating in anything. I knew they were having problems because she has complained about feeling depleted, drained, and unheard in her relationship. Both couples left together to watch a movie at Cade's and Amanda's place. She treated me okay, but she wasn't talking to Cade. We were about to finish the movie when we heard screaming coming from the hallway. Amanda had a major meltdown and yelled at Cade. Shane tried to intervene and got physically attacked. She called him horrible things, and in the middle of it, warned me that I thought I had such a great guy, but newsflash, he's a loser, that they are all liars, and that Shane is a parasite who lied about having a degree and that he destroyed his ex-wife's life. I was kind of thinking that she was just venting, but she said other things that have seriously worried me. She gave out details of conversations that I only had with Shane, and she said that he's a manipulative jerk who has been getting information from me so that he could eventually use me. Amanda was screaming, and afterwards, she had an uncontrollable crying hiccup and was shivering. She accused Cade of making her feel insignificant and said that ever since she and Cade got together, she feels financially trapped and that he has abused her money and that she can't hold on to a few bucks because he keeps spending her funds. This was very unsettling. Shane hardly defended himself, except saying that's not true, but didn't use any disproving arguments. I've asked him to please clarify what's going on. I know I should trust him, but the whole thing was too disturbing. I tried to do some research on my own and can't find him on the list of alumni for our local college. The list is public as per graduation year. I asked him if he could show me his diploma and even apologized in advance if I'm being offensive. He says it got damaged over time, but won't make an effort to reassure me. I understand that the campus is closed for the Christmas break, but I'm sure they can provide proof. Yesterday, his brother went home and found out that she had moved out and taken her kids, the pets, and everything inside the house. I have no details, and I don't know if this was a sudden decision or what. The point is that he's been left with nothing but what he had on. I have nothing against Cade, and I'm certainly not glad that this happened. But she seemed very sincere in showing pain, and he was dismissive while the whole shoot show took place. I've put our plans of moving together on hold, which has already caused Shane to be deeply offended. I'm worried because he and I had talked, and he said he wanted us to start a business together, and I was putting down most of the investment, $40,000. But now I'm going to be careful. He says I'm using this as an excuse, but all I'm asking is for some clarification before we move on to some serious decisions. Also, this new business would be built on the assumption that he has knowledge from his bachelor's degree. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You were the topic of conversation the day before at his family's Christmas on how best to get the money out of you. Yes, they made you feel comfortable. They made you want to let your guard down so you'd be more trusting of BF and hand over the money. Break off with BF until he can provide proof of his education and gives you a solid business proposal in writing. If you tell him that, chances are he'll just move on to the next female he finds easy to manipulate. Comment 2. You take us through the red flag parade and then ask us if you should give this guy money. Obviously not. Very carefully extract yourself from this guy that you don't even care to spend Christmas with, or you'll end up like Amanda. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a month since the whole drama with Shane and his brother Cade, and boy, do I have an update for you. After the chaotic scene at Cade's place, I was left with a lot of doubts about Shane. I mean, Amanda's meltdown was intense, and the things she said about Shane, they really got to me. I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe she was right about him. So, I decided to dig a little deeper. I remembered Shane mentioning a college buddy he used to study with, so I reached out to him under the pretense of planning a surprise party for Shane. This guy, let's call him Mark, was surprisingly easy to talk to. He spilled the beans without realizing it. Turns out Shane never graduated. He dropped out in his final year because he got caught up in some get-rich-quick scheme that obviously didn't work out. Armed with this new information, I confronted Shane. He tried to brush it off, saying that his past didn't define him and that he was a changed man. But I wasn't buying it. I needed honesty, and Shane wasn't giving it to me. Meanwhile, Cade was going through his own personal hell. With Amanda gone, he was a mess. He came over to our place one night, looking for Shane, but found me instead. We ended up talking for hours. He confessed that he knew about Shane's lack of a degree and that he had been covering for him for years. He also admitted that he had been terrible to Amanda and that he was starting to realize the error of his ways. As for the business Shane wanted to start, with my $40,000 investment, I put my foot down. I told him that there was no way I was investing in something when I couldn't even trust him. Shane was furious, accusing me of not believing in him, but I stood my ground. Things between us were tense for a while, but then something unexpected happened. Shane started to change. He enrolled in night classes to finish his degree. He got a job at a local hardware store to show me he was willing to work hard, even if it wasn't a glamorous position. And then, the biggest surprise of all, Shane proposed. Not with a ring or a grand gesture, but with a heartfelt apology and a promise to be better. He admitted that he had been wrong to hide the truth from me and that he wanted to build an honest life with me, even if it took time. I was skeptical at first, but as the weeks went by, I saw the effort he was putting in. He was more open with me, sharing his struggles and his progress. He even started to mend his relationship with his family, encouraging them to treat their partners with more respect. As for Cade, he started therapy to work on himself. He reached out to Amanda to apologize, not to get her back, but to acknowledge his mistakes. It was a huge step for him, and I was proud to see him taking responsibility for his actions. Shane and I are taking things slow. We're not moving in together just yet, but we're planning for the future. He's halfway through his degree now, and I'm supporting him every step of the way. It's not the quick success he once dreamed of, but it's real, and it's honest. My girlfriend shut down my game to teach me a lesson, but she didn't expect my reaction. I've been patient, but this time she's gone too far and the payback will be sweet. Throwaway because she has my Reddit, so some context. I, 20-year-old male, have been with my girlfriend, 19-year-old female, for 5 months. She plays some games, but I wouldn't consider her to be a huge gamer since she doesn't play much. Everything she plays is single-player games like Animal Crossing, Minecraft, and The Sims. Since she has never had any real experience with multiplayer games like first-person shooters and such, she doesn't really get the fact that being in a high placement in a game such as Fortnite matters. She frequently says, "You can just play around after and try again." If there is a serious or important issue, I will 100% of the time leave any game I'm in. However, if it's something unimportant that can wait 5 minutes, I prefer to finish my game. The incident that sent me over the edge was when we were going to attend a party that wouldn't be starting for another 2 hours. I was in a game because I knew I had plenty of time, and I planned to get off and get ready right after. My girlfriend, for some reason, is obsessed with showing up on time to the point where she will show up upwards of 30 minutes early to events. Her friends have specifically told her not to show up early because they aren't ready yet or want people to show up at the right time. She's rushing me to get ready to leave because she wants to be there early. When I tell her that her friends have told her multiple times not to show up so early to things, she brushes it off and tells me to turn off the game and get ready to leave. I respond saying that there are 10 people left in the game, and it wouldn't take more than 10 minutes to finish, which would leave us with almost 2 hours of time to get ready. She starts getting upset and telling me to get off now, and I refuse, which leads to her turning off my computer and walking out of the room. This has happened a few times before, and I specifically have told her not to do that. I think I'm entitled to respect from my partner regarding my stuff. However, she doesn't listen and continues to do it anyway. I'm considering separating because I'm honestly sick and tired of how controlling she can get when we need to be on time. For things when we would get there at least an hour early. I'm also tired of the lack of basic respect. Am I the jerk? Edit. Forgot to include this, but for all the people wondering why I'd be playing a game while with my girlfriend in the first place, in this specific situation, I was home alone, not expecting her to show up for another hour. So I thought I had some free time. She came to my house early, 2 hours before we even had to leave, which is why I was playing a game with her there. Edit 2. For some reason, everyone seems to think I'm gatekeeping the label gamer. I'm not. I mean it in the literal sense, as in she barely ever plays games and doesn't even consider herself a gamer. I'm not saying she's a fake gamer for not playing FPS games and only playing single players, LMAO. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. I will say, maybe don't dump her yet. Actually sit down and talk to her. Tell her flatly how you feel. Ask her to please respect you and tell her to be less controlling. If you genuinely had well over 2 hours to get ready, then yeah, it's fine. Never mind that hard resetting a computer like that constantly can actually cause issues with your PC if you're doing it constantly. If you intend to shut it down, it should always be done through the Start menu or Control-Alt-Del. Just hitting the power switch can cause problems. And if she flips your power switch one day and something goes wrong, she owes you a new computer. If she refuses to take you seriously after that conversation, I say forget it and bail. Comment 2. Not the idiot. That being said, I have ADHD and one of my coping skills is being early and getting ready early. However, me being early to things is my situation to manage. I get there and play phone games or read in my car. Just showing up way early to someone's home or event is kind of rude. It sounds like she has some kind of anxiety around being late, but that is on her to manage. If she is unwilling to get help, you need to just walk away, my friend. But have a conversation and suggest therapy if she is willing. You might be able to salvage this. You guys are so young, though, that ending it may just be the easier and healthier option. Now for the update. Hey everyone, back with an update on the situation with my girlfriend and her habit of turning off my computer mid-game. So a lot has happened in the past week, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. After the incident before the party, things were tense between us. I decided to sit down and have a serious talk with her about boundaries and respect. I reminded her of the time when she was working on her art project for her college application, and I brought her snacks without disturbing her because I knew how important it was to her. I thought she'd understand the parallel, but she just rolled her eyes and said it wasn't the same. Fast forward to a couple of days ago, we were supposed to go to her cousin's birthday dinner. I was in the middle of a game, and there was still an hour before we had to leave. I thought we had reached an understanding after our talk, but boy was I wrong. She stormed in, and before I could even react, she unplugged my PC. I was furious. We had a huge argument, and she accused me of not caring about her family. I reminded her of the time I helped her brother move into his dorm, which took an entire weekend, but she just brushed it off. The next day, she came over to apologize, but it felt off. She was too calm, and there was something in her eyes that I couldn't quite place. We made up, or so I thought, and she suggested we have a game night, just the two of us. She wanted to try playing Fortnite together. I was surprised, but happy that she was taking an interest in my hobbies. So, we're playing, and she's surprisingly good for a first-timer. We're actually having fun, and I'm thinking maybe this is the turning point for us. Then, out of nowhere, she gets this call. She takes it in the other room, and I overhear her laughing and saying, "Yeah, he actually thinks I'm enjoying this." My heart sank. I confronted her when she came back, and she tried to play it off as a joke with her friend, but I wasn't buying it. We got into another argument, and she finally admitted that she only suggested game night to prove a point that she could be good at games if she wanted to. She said she wanted to show me that games were easy and not worth getting worked up over. I was stunned. It felt like she was mocking something that was important to me. I told her that it wasn't about being good at games, but about respecting each other's interests and time. She didn't seem to get it. But here's the twist. Yesterday, I was talking to one of her friends, who let slip that my girlfriend had been practicing Fortnite for weeks with her younger brother. She wanted to beat me at my own game to make me realize how silly my gaming was. Her friend thought it was a harmless prank, but to me it felt like a betrayal. My husband laughed when I said spanking was toxic, but now he's sleeping alone and our son's tears are on him. I'm racing to fix us before Christmas Eve unwraps more than just presents. My 31-year-old female, husband Greg, 33-year-old male, and I have one child, Jacob, 7-year-old male. Greg and I work on different schedules, including many weekends, so we spend a lot of time watching Jacob separately. I get him ready in the morning. Greg deals with dinner and bedtime. About a year ago, Greg started occasionally spanking Jacob for discipline when I'm not around, even though he knows I don't agree with it, and I have asked him not to. This has happened a few times over the past year. A few days ago, Greg spanked Jacob again, and we had a big argument about it, not in Jacob's presence. I have been frustrated that Greg isn't interested in reading information against spanking. He says that Jacob doesn't care about being sent to his room or a corner, which is somewhat true, and that his behavior issues have improved since this started. Like a cliche, Greg says that he got spanked, he deserved it and turned out fine. Greg's late mother, Diane, even gave babysitters permission to spank her kids, and it wasn't a big deal, according to Greg. Anyway, after Greg started referencing his childhood and his mother, I impulsively lashed out and rather harshly reminded him that Diane A. considered him a loser and B. blamed him for her final illness and death. Now, Greg's brother is a primary care doctor who works in the government. Greg works in the financial sector and most likely does better financially than the brother. But over the years that I knew her, Diane was very open in thinking that a financial sector job was nothing compared to any kind of doctor job, and about her bitter disappointment and shame that Greg never got a postgraduate degree. In 2019, Diane was diagnosed with lung cancer despite the fact that she had never smoked. She reacted poorly in terms of mental health and had a rather hysterical response where she questioned whether Greg might be to blame because Greg was the only one in the family who was ever a cigarette smoker, despite the fact that Greg quit years earlier before Jacob was born. Greg believed that he had rarely, if ever, smoked in front of Diane because she didn't like it, but she claimed that at least once he smoked while driving her in a car on a road trip, and that there were other times. Anyway, Diane held Greg at least partly responsible for her lung cancer because of whatever secondhand smoke she experienced from him, and there was a rift between them. Diane even said that she was considering changing her will because Greg wouldn't take responsibility for the secondhand smoke. But before Diane could follow through on that, infection 19 hit, and while she was being treated for her cancer, she caught infection 19 during its first wave and went downhill quickly from that instead. Because of infection 19, Greg wasn't able to say goodbye or try to repair the rift in person, and there was not even a proper funeral. Even though Greg isn't the one who gave her infection 19, which she actually died from, as far as we know, her final comment on Greg was negative and blaming, unfortunately. Anyway, that's the background. I have apologized, but since I said this, Greg has been distant towards me, is sleeping in another room, and I'm worried that I ruined Christmas. Am I the a-hole? What can I do to repair this rift before Christmas? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your husband is a shitty father who is passing trauma down like it's a family heirloom and needs to knock that off and come to terms with the fact that his mother was a piece of shit and was clearly hurtful. Just because you brought up the truth doesn't make you the jerk. People sometimes need things to be put into perspective, and sometimes that's painful. This relationship is going to tank if he doesn't stop hitting children, though. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Why do so many people think it's okay to hit a child? They might claim it's to teach them a lesson, but let's be real, it's out of anger. Can we hit other adults when we get angry? Can he hit you to teach you a lesson? No, it's freaking illegal. So why is it okay to hit a child? It's not even legal to hit a freaking dog. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support on my last post. It's been a wild couple of weeks and I've got quite the update for you all. So after I apologized to Greg for bringing up his late mother Diane in such a hurtful way, things were tense for a while. Greg was distant and I was worried I had pushed him too far. But then something unexpected happened. Greg came home from work early one day and we had a heart-to-heart talk that changed everything. Greg admitted that what I said about his mom had been eating at him, not because it was harsh, but because there was some truth to it. He confessed that he had been using spanking as a way to assert control, something he felt he never had with his own mother. Diane's harsh words and expectations had left a mark on him, and he was inadvertently passing that on to Jacob. I was shocked. Greg had never opened up about his feelings towards his mother before. It was a jaw-dropping moment for me. We both agreed that we needed to break the cycle and find better ways to discipline Jacob together. But that's not all. Greg revealed that he had been secretly attending parenting classes to learn alternative discipline methods. He wanted to surprise me by showing that he could change and that he was committed to being a better father and husband. I was floored. Greg had always been the type to keep things close to the chest, so this was a huge step for him. We decided to implement what Greg was learning, and the results were immediate. Jacob responded well to the new approach, and our home life started to improve. We were communicating better, not just with Jacob, but with each other too. Then, one evening, Greg's brother, the doctor, came over for dinner. He had always been the golden child in Diane's eyes, and there was an unspoken rivalry between him and Greg. But that night, something changed. Greg's brother complimented him on how well Jacob was behaving and how happy our family seemed. It was a moment of validation for Greg that he never got from his mother. The conversation shifted to Diane, and Greg's brother shared something we didn't expect. He told us that before Diane passed, she had confided in him that she regretted how she treated Greg. She had been too harsh and let her pride get in the way of her relationship with her son. She had wanted to apologize to Greg, but never got the chance because of her sudden decline from infection 19. Greg was stunned. He had carried the weight of his mother's disapproval for so long, and to hear that she had regrets was both shocking and relieving. It was a moment of closure that Greg desperately needed. As for our marriage, Greg and I are in a much better place now. We're working as a team, and the distance between us has closed. We've started having regular date nights again, and Greg has moved back into our bedroom. It feels like we're rediscovering each other, and it's brought a new level of intimacy to our relationship. And just when I thought things couldn't get any better, Greg surprised me with a weekend getaway for just the two of us. It was the first time we had been away together since Jacob was born, and it was exactly what we needed to fully reconnect. As for Christmas, it was nothing short of magical. With the rift between us healed, we were able to give Jacob the happy, loving holiday he deserved. And as we watched Jacob play with his new toys, Greg took my hand, and I knew that we had come out of this stronger than ever. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.